This is everything you need to know about resetting your Chevy's transmission control module without any tools, and more importantly, whether it'll actually work on your specific vehicle. Here's the thing nobody tells you in those quick tutorials online. Simple DIY resets work great on pre-2007. Chevy's running 4L60E and 4L80E transmissions. But if you're driving a modern Chevy with a 6-speed, 8-speed, or 10-speed, those methods accomplish almost nothing. Your transmission's adaptive memory survives in non-volatile storage that a battery disconnect simply cannot touch. That distinction right there determines whether the next 10 minutes save you a trip to the dealership or just waste your Saturday afternoon. Before we reset anything, you need to understand what the transmission control module actually does in your Chevy. Think of the TCM as your transmission's brain, because unlike older hydraulic transmissions that shifted based purely on throttle position and vehicle speed, modern TCMs constantly monitor everything happening in your drivetrain. Throttle position, engine RPM, transmission fluid temperature, input and output shaft speeds, brake application, all of that data gets processed in real time to optimize exactly when your transmission shifts and how much pressure it applies. And this is where it gets interesting. GM uses something called transmission adaptive pressure, or TAP for short, where the TCM stores learned values in cells representing different torque ranges. As your clutch packs wear over time, the TCM compensates by gradually increasing line pressure to maintain that consistent shift feel you're used to. Brilliant engineering when you think about it, because your transmission slowly adapts to its own wear, but that also means corrupted values or fresh transmission work might require clearing everything out so the system can start fresh. The way your TCM connects to the rest of the vehicle depends entirely on when your Chevy rolled off the assembly line. Pre-2007 GM trucks used an integrated powertrain control module where the PCM controlled both engine and transmission functions in one unit. That changed when GM introduced the 6L80E transmission and moved to something called a TEHCM, which stands for Transmission Electro-Hydraulic Control Module. This standalone unit mounts directly in the valve body and sits submerged in transmission fluid. And that architectural change fundamentally altered what DIY resets can accomplish. So when would you even want to reset your TCM in the first place? Certain conditions can genuinely benefit from clearing those adaptive values, particularly if you're experiencing gradual degradation of shift quality like harsh 1 to 2 upshifts, delayed engagements, or transmission that learned a previous owner's aggressive driving habits. Common diagnostic trouble codes tied to TCMF function include P0700, which basically flags that other transmission codes exist, along with P0613, indicating TCM internal failure, and U0101, meaning your vehicle lost communication with the TCM. But here's the thing, a reset will never fix hard mechanical symptoms. Limp mode, where your transmission locks into second or third gear and refuses to shift, that's not a reset issue. Grinding noises, burnt fluid smell, metal particles in your transmission pan, complete loss of reverse or forward gears, all of that points to mechanical failure. A reset for these conditions doesn't solve the problem. It just dangerously delays the repairs you actually need. Now let's get into the procedures themselves, starting with the battery disconnect method. This applies primarily to pre-2007 Chevrolet trucks and SUVs running 4L60E or 4L80E transmissions, where the TCM lives integrated in the PCM. Turn off your ignition completely and remove the key, then disconnect the negative battery cable first. Press and hold your horn for 10 to 15 seconds to drain the residual capacitor charge in your electrical system, then wait a minimum of 30 minutes to give yourself some margin, even though some sources say 20 is enough. Reconnect the positive cable first, followed by the negative. Start your vehicle and let it idle for 2 to 3 minutes, then drive through all your gears for 15 to 20 minutes to begin the relearning process. And here's the limitation you need to hear. Multiple professional transmission technicians confirm that on vehicles equipped with 6L80E, 6L90E, 8L45, 8L90 and 10L transmissions. Battery disconnect does not clear adaptive memory because that memory sits stored in non-volatile TCM storage that survives power loss. One transmission specialist on a Silverado forum put it plainly when he said disconnecting the battery doesn't set the TCM to its default settings, and that a transmission scan tool is needed. The accelerator pedal reset shows moderate effectiveness across a broader range of models, though it addresses throttle body adaptation rather than deep transmission learning. Turn your ignition to the on position without starting the engine, press your accelerator pedal completely to the floor, and hold it there for 15 seconds. While you're still holding the pedal down, turn your ignition to off, then slowly release the accelerator pedal and wait 5 minutes before starting your vehicle. What makes this work is that pressing the accelerator to the floor activates the kickdown switch signal to the TCM, which triggers a partial reset of certain adaptive parameters. Chevy Cruze, Malibu, and vehicles with electronic throttle bodies respond to this procedure, though results get less consistent on newer TEHCM-equipped transmissions. How you drive afterward matters just as much as the reset itself, because that driving pattern determines whether the adaptation succeeds. For the first 50 miles, maintain steady speeds between 40 and 60 miles per hour while performing 15 to 20 gentle stops from about 30 miles per hour with nothing aggressive. Miles 50 through 200 should include 3 or 4 gradual accelerations to highway speed, along with some moderate uphill and downhill driving, while avoiding harsh braking or aggressive throttle inputs. Torque converter clutch adaptation specifically requires 200 to 300 miles according to Sonic's technical documentation, so plan for a full break-in period. This next part will save you the most time because it tells you exactly which vehicles respond to DIY resets. The 4L60E transmissions from 1993 to 2007 and 4L80E transmissions from 1991 to 2007 genuinely respond to these methods because they have the TCM integrated in the PCM, where killing power actually clears the adaptive memory. That covers pre-2007 Silverado 1500 and 2500 trucks, Tahoe, Suburban, Yukon, the 2004 to 2012 Colorado with the 4L60E, and older Camaros and Corvettes running that same transmission. DIY methods have limited or no effect on everything else. The 6L80E and 6L90E from 2006 and up, the 6T40, 6T45, 6T70 and 6T75 from 2007 and up, the 8L45 and 8L90 from 2015 and up, which require what GM calls service fast learn, and the 10L80 and 10L90 from 2017 and up all need professional scan tools. That affects 2007 and newer Silverado, Tahoe, and Suburban with 6-speed transmissions, 2015 and newer trucks with 8-speed, all Equinox, Traverse, and modern Malibu models, the Cruze, 2016 and newer Camaros, plus C7 and C8 Corvettes. One transmission specialist explained it perfectly when he said the 4L60Es and 80Es don't need professional resets because the adaptive relearn requirement after transmission service didn't arrive until the 6-liter transmissions, where the TCM became part of the transmission assembly instead of integrated into the PCM. Let's clear up some misconceptions because there's a lot of bad information floating around. Battery disconnection and pedal procedures perform what's called a soft reset that affects temporary values and can clear check engine lights. Professional tools perform hard resets that clear all 70-plus TAP values, clutch fill volumes, and adaptation cells through bidirectional communication with the TCM. That distinction matters more than most people realize. People get several things wrong about this. The idea that battery disconnect resets everything falls apart on 6L, 8L, and 10L transmissions, where adaptive memory survives in non-volatile storage. The belief that shifting improvement after a reset means the problem is solved ignores that the TCM simply relearns the same compensating parameters if mechanical issues persist, buying you time but not a fix. The assumption that any OBD2 scanner can reset the TCM misses that basic code readers only clear diagnostic trouble codes, while TCM adaptation requires bidirectional scan tool capability with vehicle-specific transmission functions, which means that $20 Amazon scanner won't cut it. GM Technical Bulletin 16 N-A019 actually states that TAP information should only get reset after specific repairs like transmission overhaul or replacement, clutch or band repair, or work on components affecting line pressure. Resetting without these conditions forces the TCM to relearn parameters unnecessarily and can cause temporary shift quality problems. You need to stop the DIY approach and get professional diagnosis under certain circumstances. If your DIY reset shows no improvement within 50 to 100 miles of varied driving, that's a sign. Warning lights returning after you've cleared them, the vehicle entering limp mode, unusual noise or vibration or burnt smell, codes P0700, P0613, U0100, or U0101 that keep coming back, and especially if you've installed a replacement or rebuilt transmission, all point to needing professional help. That last situation deserves extra attention because after installing a remanufactured transmission, improper reset creates real problems. Old adaptive values learned from worn clutches apply excessive pressure to new components and cause accelerated wear. Documentation exists of a transmission warranty getting voided because the buyer never performed a TCM flash after installation. Professional service fast learn using GM's EG-DS2 system cycles through each gear, applies controlled pressure to engage clutch packs, and stores new values in adaptive cells in a way that cannot get replicated through DIY methods. $50 to $150 at a dealership covers this service, which represents a reasonable investment compared to masking mechanical failures or voiding warranties. So here's the bottom line on all of this. The viability of no-tools TCM resets on Chevrolet vehicles hinges entirely on your transmission generation. Pre-2007 trucks with 4L60E or 4L80E transmissions respond meaningfully to battery disconnect and pedal reset procedures because their TCM lives in the PCM's volatile memory. Anything newer with a 6-liter, 8-liter, or 10-liter transmission renders these methods largely ineffective because the 2006 and later transition to TEHCM technology changed everything. The single most important thing you can do before attempting any reset is figuring out which transmission you have, because that one piece of information determines whether the next half hour proves productive or pointless. And if you're having persistent shift quality issues, consider a full transmission fluid flush with manufacturer-specified fluid before assuming it's a TCM problem. Since many shift quality complaints stem from degraded fluid rather than adaptation errors. For newer vehicles, that $50 to $150 professional reset represents money well spent compared to masking mechanical failures or voiding warranties on replacement parts. And that's everything you need to know about resetting your Chevy TCM without tools. So let me know in the comments which transmission you're working with, and I'll see you in the next one.